560. The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so another day, another Democrat socialist fact-free accusation of treason against a Republican. This time, it's Moscow Mitch. Moscow Mitch, Dana Milbank in the Washington Post, and then Joe Scarborough piling on saying Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, is doing the bidding of Vlad Putin because he won't agree with Democrats' proposals in the area of ballot integrity. Mitch McConnell took to the Senate floor to respond yesterday.
Over the last several days, I was called unpatriotic, un-American, and essentially treasonous by a couple of left-wing pundits on the basis of bold-faced lies. I was accused of aiding and abetting the very man I've singled out as an adversary and opposed for nearly 20 years, Vladimir Putin. This is the state, Mr. President, of left-wing politics in 2019. It's like an inflationary crisis, but with outrage instead of dollars. These people have worn out the volume knobs so badly that they have nothing left but the most unhinged smears. Welcome to modern-day McCarthyism. McCarthy-like tactics out in the open for everyone to see.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Indiana Senator, Republican Mike Braun. Senator Braun, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good to be on.
What about those accusations against Senator McConnell and his response yesterday?
Well, I was on Fox yesterday and commented about that's simply Democrats, and you heard it last night, reaching for anything to change the direction of some of the crazy stuff they've been proposing. And it's sad when it gets down to where you're attacking somebody like Mitch McConnell, who's always been wary of Putin. Republicans have always been the ones say, watch out, even back when it was the Soviet Union, now that it's Russia. That's what happens when you're bereft of any ideas to fix the real problems here. You start attacking individuals. You use racism as your reflexive answer to everything, and I think people are noticing it. I think it's going to, really make it difficult for them to convince people in the middle if that's all they've got.
Now, last night was the second debate among the Democrats, which turned out to be moderates versus progressives. Who do you think? Who do you think? Was there any standout or any moment that you thought was an aha moment for you?
I think what you're seeing play out is the conflict between crazy ideas that all of them have to embrace to some extent. You notice you never hear anything about running trillion-dollar deficits or how would you pay for Medicare for all, Green New Deal, free college tuition, which would more than double the size of our current federal government. So the more they do it, especially when members of their own party make the case for Trump and for what we're trying to do on the conservative side of the ledger, even though you're seeing with the budget deal, we've got a long way to go because it'll be interesting to see how many senators vote against the budget deal today. I clearly am going to because it's symptomatic of what's wrong with the place. I understand that it's an election year, and I'm mostly asking Leader McConnell, President Trump, when we win in 2020, you're going to start losing core conservatives if we don't turn this budget, issue around. You can't keep running trillion-dollar deficits and laughing them off.
Right, and this is what you heard last night. There's not an idea that the Democrat Socialists have that doesn't come in with a price tag of at least $1 trillion because they're not big ideas, despite what Elizabeth Warren said. They're just big government ideas, and it's concerning when the Republicans concede the point, as they seem to have with this budget deal.
Well, I think it's a watershed in the sense that I ran on it, and it was clear coming from a state like Indiana, it would be one of our fortes. We're in the black each year. I think we had like a $400 million surplus that we add to a cash balance where you build rainy day funds and you do things like long-term road funding, which we did back in 2017. And you do it year after year because you live by core principles that make sense. Here, I'm afraid many in our own party have gotten used to rolling over to Democrats on their domestic concerns, and they do the same thing on defense. And the only way you're going to ever get it reined in is it's got to be across the board. You don't necessarily have to do it. You need to have, like Rand Paul, every other year, even once a year, runs out the penny plan.
Yeah.
That would be a chip shot for